Right. Um, Welcome back to the second episode of the Runners Connect Plodcast. um, Freddy normally does the intros for his runs, his running vlogs, and obviously he introduced me last week to you guys. So it's my turn to flip it this week, and I've got some questions that I'd like to turn on Freddy and
Oof.
just have a chat and see where this conversation takes us. So, welcome back, Freddie. And how's your week been running wise?
Thank you, mate. Actually, really quite all right. It's been quite well, it kind of same as last week and the week before, really, because I'm still running every day. So I'm on day 62, I think, today, which has been, mate.
That's insane.
Do you know what? I feel that way myself, if I'm honest, because and I blame Andy for this. From it, it's on Andy because I remember I mentioned before that he put that comment on my video on my Strava, almost daring me to go that one step further. And I had no intention of doing that. And then I went for the 50 days, like he said I should. And then I went for 60 days. And now, honestly, I'm just taking it day by day, and seeing what happens. If I wake up tomorrow and I'm like, I'm done, then cool, I've done 62 days and I'm happy with that. But I don't think that's going to be the case. I think I'm going to probably keep going a little bit longer. But yeah, I think at least 100 is the honest answer to that. I'd like to keep going till then, but my week's been all right. I had a few sort of I'd say middle distance sort of runs where they're around that 5, 6, 7K mark. And then I only did a mile yesterday, or just over a mile yesterday, because I knew today would be a bit longer and I wanted to have fresher legs. And
Yeah.
today wasn't great actually. I did just shy of 18Ks today, this morning. And it was quite cold up here. I know a lot of the countries haven't had some snow today, and we didn't quite get the snow, but we had a bit of sleet. It's been really windy and rainy and just miserable, really.
Mm.
But I got probably about, I don't know, 6 or 7Ks in. Interestingly, I got to 4Ks in, and I went up past my local park run at Ashington, and I bumped into Jack.
All right.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Jack had just finished doing park run up there, and I think he might have won it. I'm not sure, but looking at the photos online, I think he might have, and that
I
wouldn't be
seen
a
Jack
surprise.
splits today on Strava. So,
Yeah,
yeah, another incredible outing.
yeah, yeah. Oh, he's a brilliant runner, brilliant. But yeah, so I saw him, and then I went for a bit long, and I got to 6 or 7Ks, and I was like, oh, I'm not feeling great here.
Mm.
Um, but hands up, I know why, and it's my own bloody fault, and I should know better by now, but it appears I'm still learning. Um, it was not taking on enough fuel. So for breakfast this morning, I literally had a protein shake, and then out the door I go
Yeah.
for my run. I had a bottle of water with me, and I had a few sips of that. But when I got to that sort of that, coming up for 10K, I was like, oh God, I'm feeling a bit crappy actually. Eventually got to a co-op. There was a local co-op, probably at about, I don't know, 12K, something like this.
Mm.
Ran into the co-op, got myself a protein bar, got myself a bottle of Lucozade, the flat stuff. Um, Quickly had a guzzle of that and ate probably half the protein bar. And within minutes, I was feeling way better. But I kind of ruined my day already at that point. A protein bar was never going to fix me at that point,
Yeah.
but it was enough to get me back home again and finishing just under 18K. But anything more than 10K for me, I really have to be carrying some sort of fuel. I know that, but I've just forgotten, I guess.
And
So
are you still learning what suits your? I'll be brutally honest, your stomach, because I've heard horror
yeah,
stories of
yeah,
things not going well when you're experimenting with certain gels, and I've got
yeah,
a half marathon tomorrow, so I know what works for me, and I've stuck to a specific brand because it
yeah.
works. But yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's really interesting you say that. They're in the other room, so I can't show you right now. But today I took delivery of something from Amazon that I'd ordered. Um, I don't necessarily struggle with my stomach if it's not too long. So Endure 24, for instance, I did struggle with my stomach because I tried to use gels and electrolyte drinks probably too long because it's
Yeah.
24 hours. Um, so what I've actually just bought is tablets, electrolyte tablets. You take two a day, and it's supposed to give you enough. And I'm going to try those on my long runs and try and maybe drop a couple of those at the beginning of my run. And depending on how long it is, maybe take a couple of extras and and try it. But I have kind of figured out what works for me, and it's actually more savoury food than anything else. Like even a sandwich. I mean, bananas I've used a few times. They're okay, but again, I can only have one, and then I don't want any more. But even like a sandwich, I found for some of the long runs it is really helpful. So I do prefer the savoury stuff. I find anything that's too sickly or sweet or anything like that, it's all right for maybe up to half marathon, but beyond that, I need something a bit more substantial, I think.
Yeah. Well, speaking of savoury, if there was an Olympic medal given out for crisp eating, I'd be a solid silver, maybe a gold for Great Britain. It's my biggest vice. I've got to stay away from crisps. Yeah. But I do know crisps can help as well when you're finished and you need that salt back in your system. There's no excuse.
No,
I don't need an excuse for a bag of crisps.
No, so I'm not a big crisp guy actually. My wife likes a crisp, but I take it or leave it. But actually, I've seen people using those on their long runs, snacking on crisps. I guess you get the carb bit as well, don't you? There's a lot of carbs in them.
That's what I tell myself. Yeah.
It's
the science.
Yeah.
So anyway, last week you introduced me and you managed to grill me. So I thought this week I'd flip it a little bit. Just while it's me and you on this for now. So if you don't mind, I've got some questions I'd like to ping off you and be as honest or pass if you want. There's no points, no prizes.
No.
So the first one really, when I discovered your channel, it hooked me straight away because of just how real and raw it was. Like I said in the last episode, there's no world records getting broken, but you're also giving it rock all to try and improve yourself through running. So, two-part question: what made you start running? And part B: what the hell made you want to get a camera out and vlog it for everybody to watch?
God knows the answer to that. Do you know why running? Great question, actually. And I know I mentioned last week or 2 weeks ago that I did a bit of cycling and stuff, and that wasn't really doing it for my weight loss. And actually, I don't even think it was fully doing much for me in fitness-wise. I didn't really seem to be. I was getting better at cycling, but not really much else. But running's something that I've kind of done, I'd say, on and off for years, but mostly off. I've always been the kind of guy where years ago I'd be like, oh, let's go and do a half marathon. Okay, cool. We'll train for 3 weeks and then we'll go and do one.
Yeah.
You know, and I would do it and I would finish it and I would get round in a long time. But I would get round and do them. And then be like, right, boop, 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 bish, bash, bosh, done. Now let's move on to the next thing. And that next thing would be, let's get fat again. Or fatter, because of course I lost loads of weight in 3 weeks training for a half marathon. But there'd been a lot of that over many years, and like I say, most time that would be me not doing anything, but then I would do something silly. But this time I got to what is it now? It must be 18 months ago since this started now, or maybe just under. I'm not sure. So it would have been October 22 is when I started the channel. And that's kind of when I first started this sort of journey, if you like. But the difference there was it wasn't, right, I'm going to go and do a half marathon, or I'm going to do this race, I'm going to, or whatever. It's like, no, this time I want to change my lifestyle and do some of those races on the way. Now, you can say, oh, you've done half marathons and years ago marathons and stuff every now and then. But never really had any focus on how to train for them, what to do to train correctly. It was just, can I get through this race? And I would come out and I'd have 50 blisters on each foot. I'd be in agony for weeks, that sort of thing. So this time it was, actually let's change our lifestyle, because that's what we really need to be doing anyway. It's not about, because it was almost like, sorry, I might be flip-flopping a bit here. But it was almost like I'd go and do something like a run and convince myself, well, I'm healthy. I did a half marathon. I did this. That means I'm healthy. And that's how I would convince myself. I got round that run. Yes, in agony. Yes, my feet are falling apart. No, I didn't have a clue what I was doing, but I got round it. So I must be healthy,
Tick
right?
the box.
Right. And that was a wrong way. That was just me kidding myself. course. You know, it didn't mean anything. It just meant my mind was actually quite strong. I think, and because I do have that. If I say right, I'm doing that, then I'm going to do it. If my feet fall off, fine, but I'm going to get to the finish, whatever. So it was getting rid of that mentality, and that's when I decided the end of 22 was right. Let's change the lifestyle. Let's use running as a way to get the life that I wish I had, and be the person that I feel like I felt on the inside, but it wasn't true. It's kind of the person I wanted to be, and that took that took a lot of talking to myself, really. I don't know how to phrase that correctly, but it just took a lot of reflection and saying to myself, stop kidding yourself, do something. And you look at all the sports you could do. I mentioned cycling. Well, actually, the other thing with cycling is it's really bloody expensive. You know, it's really expensive. The road bike I've got now, I've had it a number of years. It cost me about £1,000 at the time. The same bike now is going to be 2-3 times that price. You know, and I'm not playing that game. You know, I don't need to, because I'm not trying to win a race. And I looked at other things, and again, you know, and actually, again, foolishly said to myself, "Well, running's cheap." Running, and it goes back to what we spoke about the last episode about the cost of trainers, blah, you know, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
It all starts to pile up. But you know what? And it wasn't really about the cost, but running is something I can do wherever I am. I travel quite a lot for work. And that includes going overseas at times. And I can't take a bike, I can't take this, that, the other. I can't take anything, but I can take a pair of trainers with me, and I can take a pair of shorts and t-shirt with me. So it doesn't matter where I go, I can do it. So I was like, right, that's what we're going to concentrate on, and we're going to try and become a good runner. I mean, I was a good runner as a kid. I did a lot of running as a kid. I could regularly, as a 12, 13-year-old, I could do the 1500s in sub 4.5 minutes. You know, as a kid, that was pretty swift.
Yeah, it's pretty rapid.
In a former job that I had when I was in my early 20s, I could run 1.5 miles in 6 minutes 52. You know, that's, again, a whole other lifetime away, though. And I know some people might be watching or listening to this now thinking, oh, he's a good runner before all this. No, that's not true. I'm 48-year-old. We're talking 25 years ago.
You've had a good 20 years of
right
sedentary, I think's the word.
Yeah, exactly. So and that's even when it comes down to PBs and that, I probably do have somewhere an old set of PBs. I don't know what they are, but I'm never going to be, as someone that's nearly 48, I'm not going to compete with 20-year-old me. You know, so all those got pushed aside and thrown away, and start again. And why did I put it on YouTube? I think I might have said this before in some of my videos, but it was never about this.
I know the reason because I remember watching the episode when you explained it, but that was many moons ago, and it's probably deep in the archives now.
Well, there are a couple of reasons, but yeah, there was no intention certainly to become a YouTuber, and I still don't consider myself to be that now. I have a full-time job, you know, and that will always take priority over the YouTube, because it actually pays. First of all, it pays properly. I mean, I've shown you a couple of the insights into what YouTube actually do, and I don't mind sharing that, and maybe not do that today, but we can do that in the future. I don't mind sharing that at all.
Yeah.
And showing, actually, having a tiny channel like mine, what does it actually mean? And the truth is, it doesn't really mean anything. It barely covers the costs of, well, anything.
Trainers, laces.
Really. Yeah, maybe the plastic bit on the end of the shoelaces. But it was never about that. First of all, it was about recording it for myself, so I could see the progress that I'm making. Because what I do find sometimes is I can convince myself that I'm making progress when I might not be, and vice versa. There'll be times where I don't see the progress that there has been, and I think I've seen that probably now. Actually, now's the first time in probably a year where I've been like, oh, I'm getting better at this, you know. Because
I'll stop you there. I just want to ask, do you watch back your own videos, and do you go back to the beginning? Because I'm saying this because we sat down and watched one of your Run Every Day ones in the last week or so, and you can
Right.
physically see the shape of your face has changed from your first videos. You're
Right.
shedding the pounds.
Yeah. Yeah. I have watched a couple. I try not to too much, but I have watched a couple. Kind of again going back to trying to see that progress, and occasionally I'll be. And actually, last week I watched the video for Endure 24. I watched that again, and I was like, ah. And actually, I watched it from 2 points of view. First point of view, I was like, oh, I'd have edited this different. I'd have done, I'd have done something different in it this time. And I think that's because I've got a bit more experience in trying to tell a story, maybe.
Yeah.
But there's loads I would have changed in the edit. But at the same time, I was like, right, this is firing me up now. This is really like relighting that fire, because obviously I've got Endure 24 coming up again this year in June.
Yeah.
And I want to beat what I did. And honestly, and I'm putting myself out here a little bit, I want to blitz what I did before. I want to make last year look like a warm up compared to, and I don't mean I want to do 100 miles. I don't mean that. That would be double what I did. No, I don't. But I certainly want to add, I'd love to add another 20 miles onto it. And for me, that's smashing it out of the park compared to last year. For somebody that looks like me, that's a massive difference. So I did watch that video last week and was like, yeah, this is firing me up now. So there's that. There's seeing the change in myself, and that was always the initial plan. I didn't tell anybody that I created the channel. I didn't tell any of my family initially, apart from my wife. But nobody else knew until probably 20 videos in, and that's when people kind of started to watch a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason that I told them is because I had somebody subscribe to the channel, which is somebody that I know, and they messaged me privately and said, "Oh, I see you've got a YouTube channel," and then I was like, "Oh Christ, yeah, I forgot people actually that I know might see this."
Yeah, in the real world.
Right. So that's when I started to tell my family, and even now that I've got friends that I've known for 10, 15, 20 years. I haven't told them that I've got this channel.
Yeah.
A bit of it's because I don't say I'm embarrassed, but I'm kind of am. Like, I don't want to be like that. I don't want people to say, "Oh, what are you trying to do? Who are you trying to be? Who are you kidding?" Because I don't want to hear any of that. But secondly, they're not runners. They're not going to have an interest. And why ask them to subscribe to my channel if they're not actually going to watch it anyway? They'll have no interest. Truth be told, subscribers that don't watch actually cause more damage to your channel anyway. So I've just got no interest. And then there is, when your kids start to doubt that whether or not you can actually do it and become a YouTuber, which we did have initially, where your kid sort of says to you, "I can do this, Dad, you can't," sort of thing. And I'm like, okay, watch. And listen, I mean, that sounds almost a bit ridiculous because I've only got a tiny channel, but it's bigger than my kids.
And you say tiny. I was looking today at the Runners Connect on Strava's just under 600 members in that virtual running club, and the channel itself, you're not far off hitting 2,000. That's pretty damn good for a non-elite running vlogger.
I'm happy with it. I'm happy with it, and I'm happy with it for a couple of reasons, because it doesn't matter to me. It's not why I'm doing it. So it's an absolute bonus that people want to join in. And actually, the more people that do subscribe, obviously the more people then comment on the video, and it's the motivation I get from the messages that I get, whether it's somebody just saying, "Oh, well done," or whether it's somebody that says, "Oh, I've started doing this because I saw you do it," and that's like, wow. That knocks you over. But then I get advice, and I want to be really clear about this as well. And I think we need to add this into an intro. Is we are not running coaches, you and I. So
absolutely.
anything that we say on this podcast is not advice. It's just what we're doing and what we're choosing to do. And I do take that with a pinch of salt in my comments when people say, "Oh, you should do this." I don't immediately go out there and do it, but it flags something up for me to then go and look into. and someone said, go and do this, and I was like, okay, what does that mean? Let's have a look and have a read. And I've got to the point actually where I don't think anybody's a running coach. Even the running coaches to me aren't running coaches anymore, because they're all so different and they all have different opinions, and I don't think there's anyone where we can say, oh, he's always right or she's always right, because they're not. And I think because, and that's maybe a bit rude, but I don't mean that literally they're not coaches, but I just think you have to be really careful where you're getting your advice from, especially when it's not specific to you. It's about, so yeah, just to be clear, we are not running coaches. Do not listen to us. Just do what you think's right for you.
Yeah. Absolutely. Going back to episode 1 of this, first time for me, well out of my comfort zone, as I mentioned, but reading the comments afterwards on the YouTube thing, wow, it's just so much positivity. And I was really nervous that we'd get a lot of kickback saying, what are you two on about? And it wasn't. It was advice, and it was technical advice. I think Jamie Tardy commented. Jamie messaged about the sound quality and things like that. So I've adjusted my microphone today, but also the running advice. I'm suffering with ITBS at the minute. So much advice and tips and hints and I really didn't expect that. So for you to get that every week, you can see how it must motivate you to push on and keep going with this.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, it can swing the other way. You can get the odd comment where you're like, oh, you've just made me. I wouldn't say they ruin my day, because I don't take any of it to heart. But you do have the occasional one where you're like, okay, cool, move on.
Yeah.
And I've only had one person try to troll the channel. And what was really nice is he said something negative. I won't name him because I'm not going to give him that, but he said something negative in the comment section, and he got hounded by everybody else, which was great. I didn't have to respond to it, but he did it to me a couple of times. But then I also saw he did it to another channel of someone that I follow. So this guy was just a troll, and he was trolling me before I did Endure 24. He was trolling me whilst I was doing Endure 24. And then when he realised actually the result was better than he thought it would be, he disappeared. Which was fine. Move on. I'm over it. I didn't block him for anything or anything. I mean, I can block people, but I didn't do none of that. I just left him to it. He got bored and disappeared. But I do get the odd message where it will come through, and actually people are not being negative. They're not being horrible, but sometimes. I think sometimes maybe I get a bit sensitive, because it will be a comment about my weight. I know I'm overweight. I've known for 20 years that I'm overweight. I don't need reminding.
Yeah.
And this might put people off me. I don't mind if that happens, because I'm not. I don't know what I'm trying to say there, but sometimes those comments are like, oh, you could do with losing a couple more pounds, or I'm like, do you think?
Can you imagine if someone had come up to you in public and said that, what the reaction would be?
Right. But I also know that it comes from a place of kindness. They're not saying it to get at me. They're not saying, oh, come on, you should be doing better than this. It's coming from a place of kindness. It's just hard to receive sometimes when, it's like, I know. That's why I'm doing this.
Yeah.
But I struggle with it, and I'm going to continue to struggle with it. But I'll keep going till I figure it out. So yeah. But on a whole, the comment section is my favourite place to be. It's amazing.
So on the back of that, another 2-part question then. Obviously, you can use that fuel for the fire. So what's been your biggest motivator so far? Is it the negatives, or is it like wanting to prove them wrong? And the second part to that is, have you noticed a shift in your mental health since you started in October 2022 to where you are today? How are you mentally? Do you feel stronger? Has it affected other aspects of your life that you probably didn't expect it to?
Yep. So in some of my early videos, I'm going out, and I can remember one in particular. And this was right near the beginning. I was going out on my long run, and I think my long run there was probably 8 or 9 miles, something like that. And I can remember my heart rate was going through the roof, like quite quickly. My heart rate was going through the roof. So I'd walk, and I'd get the heart rate back down, which is the right thing to do for me. But then I'd see somebody and I'd have to start running because I'm like, oh, they're going to see me in my running kit out on a run thinking, you ain't doing very well because look, no wonder you're fat, you're not running. And that's how I would think, right? And that happened a lot. And I did a video where it happened to me in the video. And it actually makes me a bit sad when I watch that back now because that's the progression that I've seen. I couldn't care less now who sees me walking. Because what I've learned is actually those people where in my mind before I was thinking, oh, they're going to think this about me. They're going to think you're wasting your time, blah, blah, blah. Actually, they're not. They're not thinking that at all. 9 times out of 10, they're not thinking anything about you. They're not even, you're not even in their mind. You know, they might glance over you, but they're not having an opinion of what you're doing. And the ones that do have an opinion, 9 times out of 10, it's a positive. They'll be like, oh, good for him. You know, and I've learnt that over time for sure. And I think my mental health has really benefited from running. I think that showed at the beginning that I had a lack of confidence actually. And I would say, I would have said, and I would still say now that I was never unconfident. I mean, as part of my job, my real job, I do have to get up on stages and talk to people, you know, and there could be a couple of hundred people at a time, where I would have to be given a presentation or whatever else. So I have to have some confidence in me to do that anyway. But when it came to my personal stuff is when I was lacking the confidence. And I think, yeah, my mental health has took a big U-turn in that respect where I'm like, I'm comfortable in myself. I think, yes, I look the way I look. Yes, I'm still overweight, but I can still do what 99% of the population can't do or aren't doing, you know, and that's just the way it is. And that's because most people don't run. Yeah, of course, if everybody started running, I would fall straight down that pecking order, but they don't, you know. And I'm sorry, I forgot the first part of your question. I know that.
So the first part is the biggest motivator. So you run about the negative comments and you love proving those kind of comments wrong, and it gets you back up in a good way. Do you channel that energy?
I do.
And is that a motivation for you, or what is your biggest motivator to keep going? To well, at the minute you're doing run every day, 60 something. But yeah, like what's the key motivator for you?
Do you know, I do use that a lot. Even again, and I keep talking about my videos, and I apologise for that. But there was another one of my videos where I was running, and I was out and about, and there was a family coming towards me. It was a husband, wife, and 1 or 2 kids. And they were behind a hedge, and they saw my head coming behind this hedge, and they thought I was on a bike. So as I was getting closer, the dad said to his kids, "Oh, get in! There's a guy on a bike." I got round the corner, and I was running, and he didn't. You know, easy mistake to make, not a big deal. And then he went, "Oh, I thought you were on a bike." I said, "No, I'm just out here having a run." And he goes, "Oh, it must have been the spare tires." You know, that was his humour.
Yeah.
And I laughed it off and carried on going. And then a bit of me wanted to turn around and go back and challenge him. But then I was like, no, he's with his kids. I'm not going to get into that. Let's just move on, forget about it, and get the run done. But then I'll use that in my next run and remember that guy said that to me, you know, and that fires me up. And it fires me up now, actually. I could quite happily go out for another run now.
Looking for him.
Yeah. But then again, if you look at the Endure 24 video, might if you make me emotional now thinking about it, but give me a second to have a drink.
Yeah, have a glass of. That's not rum and coke, is it?
It's spiced rum and coke. Yeah.
Is it?
It's Saturday night. I only drink once. I only drink once a week, and tonight
I've got a half marathon in the morning.
Yeah. But no, there's a bit in that video where I'm thinking about all of that and thinking about because I don't think this actually happens, but in my mind I'm like, people are doubting me. People are going to think to themselves, he can't do this, he can't do that. And I say in that video, I'm like, doubt me now.
I can guarantee you that is purely in your own head. I go through exactly the same as a novice runner when I'm struggling, I'm thinking, people will be thinking, I knew he'd fail at this. I knew he can't
Yep.
do this. It's purely in your own brain. But
Yeah.
yeah, the only person you have to show up for is yourself. And by
But
by
but I will say, I hope in a way that part doesn't leave me,
yeah,
because that genuinely fires me up. When I was in my darkest part in that race, I start, okay, doubt me now, because
yeah,
I'm gonna keep going.
yeah.
You know, I'm gonna keep going.
And that's when the montage plays and you have the music in your head. And that's
Yeah,
a great
Rocky
question, by
comes
the way.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was a
yeah.
question I did have, and I was thinking if we get guests on at some point, I think I'd love to know what everybody's motivational song is. Everybody's got that one song, and they have to
Easy for
hit
me.
play.
Easy for me.
Go on.
Yeah, it's Psychosocial by Slipknot.
Oh, you love the hard stuff, don't you? I remember you saying, yeah,
I really do. Yeah, I really do. But I've literally done a park run with that one song on repeat the whole way around.
in 14 minutes.
So no, so that song was on like 19 times, you know. But no, I've literally done a park run with that song just looping the whole time, because it's one, it fires me up. I wouldn't say it makes me angry, but it kind of does. You know,
Yeah.
it really gets me fired up and want to go for it.
That
But no,
playlist we've made, there's stuff on there I've never heard before, but when it kicks in, I love it. It's like,
yeah,
it G's me up. Not a
yeah,
massive Beastie Boys fan, but there's a
right.
track on there I absolutely love when that drops.
Sabotage.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's not my
yeah, it's
kind of
good.
music, it's not my cup of tea whatsoever, but when I'm running and that comes on, my
Yeah.
legs something to pick up for some reason. But
But
yeah,
what I also like with that is when the playlist ends on Apple Music, it continues to play other music that's like the music you were just playing.
yeah,
So
yeah.
actually, it's been quite a good, yeah, quite a good mix. But what about you? What's your go to song for that?
Um, oh, flip that back on me there. I don't know. I'm a big Oasis fan, so I like the stuff I listened to when I was in my teens. So the like Rock and Roll Star or Hello, something like that.
Right.
Something just reminds me of being younger and fitter and more agile. You know, just
Yeah, yeah,
gets the
yeah.
blood pumping. Um, yeah, everybody's got a song. I know they have that
Yeah,
one favourite song of theirs that they flick on when they're struggling.
yeah.
So yeah, maybe we ask that one every time if we get people on.
That'd be
Um,
cool.
couple more for you. Have you got any regrets yet? And I've put yet because I think we'll discover regrets as we run, as we get older, as we start doing races we thought were going to be fun, turned out to be a disaster. Certain trainers you've wasted money on, which yeah, I got found out after the last episode. I confessed, and
Yes.
yeah, is there any? Have you got any running regrets yet?
Um. Oh, that's a great question. I don't think so. Have I made mistakes? Yeah, I've made mistakes. Do I regret making them? No, because I've learnt from them, so they were worth making, I think.
Yeah.
In a way, I regret doing Endure 24 when I did it. In a way, I actually think, and I think that was kind of the old me saying, "Let's see if I can do this,"
Mm.
and having making that sort of kind of a mental exercise. I think the sensible thing for me to do was to become good at 5K and tick that off almost, and then say become good at 10K, and take the step up that way steadily. I don't think that's a regret. I just think that would have been a sensible way for me to do it. And I spent quite a bit of time last year injured, and I think ultimately it might be because I was doing too much too soon, for a long stretch of time. But in terms of buying stuff, oh yeah, I've made some of those decisions were wrong. Some that I am frightened to say because my wife might listen to this. I know. Actually, she won't. We were joking today. We've been out this afternoon, and we were talking about what were we talking about? We were talking about something. That was it. She was talking about gun turrets because we're up on the northeast coast, and there's quite a lot of gun turrets up and down the coast
Yeah.
left over from the World War, and they're all still there. And she'd obviously only just discovered this. And bear in mind, she's from here, she's from the northeast. And she discovered it, and she was like, "Oh, did you know just down the road from here, there's some gun turrets left over from the World War?" And I was like, "Yeah, you should have known that already as well." And she's like, "What do you mean?" I said, well, I know at least 2 videos that I've done on YouTube that talks about them. And she had no idea.
Called her out. Called her
Yeah,
out.
yeah. So that was a good laugh because so I know she doesn't watch this, but I will say that yeah, I've probably made a few mistakes in some of the things that I've bought in terms of shoes, a bit like yourself, where I bought a pair of shoes that I assumed would be good for me,
Yeah.
spent 140 quid on them. They get here, yeah, you go for a run and you think, oh yeah, that was comfortable, because the run was 2 miles long. You go out and the next time you do 3, 4, 5 miles and you come home and you're crippled.
Yeah.
You know, and you can't use your feet. And I experienced that actually with the Hocker Clifton 9. I got on well with the Bondi.
They were a mainstream trainer, aren't they? I don't want to go
Yep.
down the nerdy trainer talk, but I know when I first started, everybody was talking about these Hocker Clifton
Yep.
8s at the time, and then I went down the rabbit hole finding out all about that brand and that particular model, and then the 9s came out, and everybody had them. Like, they were
Yep.
everywhere.
Yep.
So it's the first time I've heard anybody say they weren't good. I never actually got them, but you're not a fan,
Oh,
no?
mate, I got 2 pairs of them, and they've probably covered 30 miles each. You
Wow.
know? Yeah, because I bought them and thought, yep, these, because I had the Bondis, and the Bondis, I actually got on with the Bondis. They were a great sort of slow long run or recovery shoe. They were
Yeah.
quite soft. I got on well with them, so I just assumed, yeah, I'll get on with the Clifton. Bought 2 pair of them, and they're upstairs. They don't get used for anything, you know. So
Vintage.
things like that, and that's yeah. And I think, you know, I mean, days gone by, you'd almost think, well, how else do you know unless you try? But actually, if you buy them from the right place now, you can try them before you really commit to them. And some of these places will actually let you send them back if you don't get on with them.
Yeah.
You know, but I was too stubborn to think that, and just thought, oh no, I'll make them work, and they're upstairs collecting dust. You know, and actually, I may give them away to somebody if they're a size 11 wide foot. UK and you're in the area and you're after a pair of Clifton 9s, let me know. I've got a pair in the cupboard you could have. So yeah, but I think that's all a learning curve. I think I've found the perfect trainers for me at the moment. We talked about this last time with the Adidas Bostons and what have you.
Yeah.
They fit my foot really well, and hopefully they continue to do that as they develop the models. Because I'll be quite happy actually if I know every time I can just go and buy the same shoe, maybe the new model of the shoe, but hopefully I can just stick to, because I don't know, there's something comforting, I think, about finding what works for you.
Mm.
But really off subject quickly, I've noticed lately on YouTube, and I don't know if you're familiar with a guy called Lionel Sanders. He's a Canadian triathlete, does Ironman. Him and others that I've seen an influx over the last week, are all people announcing now that they're dumping carbon shoes. They're not training in carbon shoes anymore.
Right.
They're only going to use them for race day, because they're saying actually, and it was Lionel Sanders that said he found that he was getting slower because he was always running in carbon, and he thinks he's relying on that shoe, which is when he's doing his training, it's making other things go wrong, and kind of slowing him down. So now for his training, he said, that's it, no more carbon. They're all gone. I'm just going to wear regular shoes, and I'll race in the carbon and get the benefit of them. Because when you're getting the benefit all the time, you're not getting the benefit of wearing them, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, makes sense.
You know?
Yeah.
But sorry, that was a...
No, it's all right. I think I mentioned it to you when I got those Bostons. I read up somewhere that you should only use them if you run 5 times a week. Use them twice a week. The rest of the time,
Right.
training your regular shoes. So there might be some method in that madness, you know.
Yeah, and I mix up mine. I do cycle mine, but mostly between, I'd say, 3 pairs at the minute that I use. And I'd probably use the Boston's 3. Well, because I'm running 7 times a week right now. I'm probably using them 3 or 4 times. You know, and mixing them up.
7 days a week. That just makes me feel tired even thinking about it. So how are you feeling off the back of that right now? Like, if we had to stop today, how like, obviously you mentioned that the target was 50. You've continued on. Here we are 2 weeks later. You're still going.
But the target was 31.
All right, yes, of course, for January, yeah. And then you went
Yeah.
to 50.
Then we went to 50. My wife asked me the last couple of days, she said to me, how would you feel if you forgot to do a run? Which I almost did the other
You
night.
did? You went. Did you go in jeans or something?
That's happened a couple of times.
Yeah.
Yeah. But she reminded me, it was, I don't know, 9 o'clock at night or whatever else it was. And she said, "Oh, have you been? Did you go this morning?" I was like, no, I didn't. Bye. And off I go. But she did say to me, "How would you feel if you suddenly forgot or stopped and wake up tomorrow and think, oh, you missed a day?" And actually, I'd be really annoyed with myself, is the truth, because I mean it genuinely, that I'm enjoying it. It's really good fun. And I don't know why it's really good fun, but it is. And I look forward to that run every day. I don't know how long. I watched, I think his name's Floberg, something like that. A guy from Norway who has a YouTube channel, quite a big channel actually. He did it for like 1,300 and something days.
He uploaded that this week. I know exactly what you mean. Yeah. Link it if you can in this.
I will.
Because it's well worth a watch. It's a brilliant.
I will.
Video.
So yeah, if you're on the YouTube channel, go down in the description. And I'll stink a link in there. But he did that, and he literally woke up one day, went to work, got busy, whatever else, went to bed, woke up the next day and was like, "Ugh, I forgot. I didn't go for a run." And for him, I think actually it was almost like a bit of relief, because he said, "Okay, I'm not starting again.
Yeah.
I'm done." Yeah. But that's like 1,300 and some days in, you know. I ain't looking to do that. Not at all. But I'll see how far it comes. And the benefits are huge. I've had 2 PBs in a couple of weeks. Well, no, sorry, not in a couple of weeks. It was within 3 days.
Within days of each other.
Yeah, it was within 3 days of each other. Where we got the 10K PB, and then we got the 5K PB. And actually, I put a video out last week where I talked about I don't know really what I'm going to do next.
Yeah.
Apart from building up towards Endure 24. Now I've still got that super fast 5K booked in for the 17th of this month. And I'm going to go for another PB then. I'll put that out there. Am I going to get one? I don't know, but I'm going to go for one. And actually, I'd like to try and get that under 24:30. So that'll be like an 8-second plus drop if I can. I'd like to. And then after that is when I'm going to start building up to Endure 24 and really concentrate on getting the stamina there for the longer stuff.
So just to put a bit of real world spin on this and bring it back down to earth, is your laundry basket like Mary Poppins' handbag? Do you ever see the bottom of it? Because if you're running every day, you either have a massive wardrobe of running kit, or your washing machine does not stop.
My washing machine doesn't stop. You're right. Yeah, it's true. It's true. I do have plenty of kit, to be fair. I've probably got, I don't know, 7 or 8 pairs of shorts that I run in, and a few pairs of leggings if it's really cold. Not often I wear them, but if it's really cold, I'll stick them on. But yeah, it's a daily task, really, pretty much. Well, I'd say every other day I'm certainly filling the washer up and getting it done. So yeah, it doesn't. The biggest one, especially now, because we've had so much rain and whatever else. I've actually got a pair of my shoes here, and this would probably be really hard. Everything's just dirty. Everything's just dirty, and that part I can't keep on top of. I can't keep on top of keeping my shoes clean, but yeah, the rest I can.
So, being on YouTube, would you say YouTube's your primary channel, isn't it? Really, that's your main format at the minute, I think. Are there any perks to that? Have you had free kit thrown in your direction?
Well, you know the answer to that because you've had some of it yourself this week, which is really, really cool. So yeah, I do get emails every so often. At one point, more regular than I would like, of organisations reaching out to me saying, "Oh, we really like your channel." I know they haven't watched it. They just look at, he's growing as his subscriber count has gone up a little bit, so we'll reach out to him. So they reach out and they offer you all sorts of kit. Most of it's running headphones. We've had massage guns. We had an offer of underwear. Now all this might sound nice, but every time you get sent something, they expect in return to do a bit of marketing for them, which is why they do it. And that marketing revolves around you doing a review. Mm-hmm. Now, how are you going to review a pair of underpants without putting them on? And the truth is, I went to my kids when that one came through, I went to my kids and was like, right, guys, I'm about to say yes to this. This company has just asked me if I will go on the internet in my underpants and tell everyone how good they are. How do you feel about it? And I've always said from the very beginning about the whole YouTube thing, if my kids ever say to me, Dad, this is too much, I'm getting comments at school, it could lead to bullying, it could lead to whatever. If ever they come home and say that to me, the channel's gone straight away. It gets shut down and it's disappeared. I'm not putting my kids in that position.
Yeah.
But I went to them and said, look, I'm about to say yes to this. How do you feel about it? And they're like, well, what does it mean? And I'm like, well, it means your dad's going to go online in a pair of underpants and review them and tell people what he thinks of them, good or bad. And they were like, no, please don't. Please don't. And there was a sense of relief. There was definitely a sense of relief when they said that. But I was considering doing it.
You could have had 5 million subscribers by now.
Oh, God. Yeah.
I don't know what the clientele would have been like, but you might have had 5 million subscribers.
No, I'll start selling dirty socks and that on OnlyFans. But I started thinking about it, and I did do a number of videos with different pairs of headphones and a few other bits and bobs. And I was like, okay, what's actually happening here? What's actually happening is they're getting free marketing, because let's be honest, the cost of the product to the manufacturer or whatever is pennies.
Yeah.
And yeah, although my videos don't cost me anything to make, they take my time. And that should come with a value attached to it, of course.
Absolutely, yeah.
So they were getting this free marketing, and I've never had any rules set where they've never said to me, you must say this, that, and the other. The only rules I've really had are, at worst, is your video must only be about our product. We don't want it tied into a middle of a video about something else.
Yeah.
It would just be a video about our product. And that's because then if somebody searches for their product, they'll get however many videos appear of people like me talking about their product, which is what they're really after, because then it kind of makes them look legit, because they are legit, to be fair. But what actually happened is I get, and headphones is the one that did it for me, because I think I reviewed 3 or 4 different types. And all of them, hand on heart, all of them in a positive way, because they were genuinely good. It weren't no BS. I didn't have to sign anything or anything like that. They were good headphones at the point of doing the video. A month later, they died.
Yeah.
They stopped working. Well, at that point, the video's already out and I've already given my review.
Yeah.
And that's where I start thinking, I've been saying to people, go and buy these. Here's a discount code, you'll save 10%. And people go out and buy them. And then a month later, are they in the same position? Did I just keep getting sent duff ones that were breaking after a month? Or is that the norm for this product? Yeah. I don't know the answer to that. And actually, if you go on my playlist, even right now, you'll see all those review videos have gone. I've taken them down because I got to the point where I was like, I can't recommend something that after a month breaks, But they were always genuine. The headphones in particular, they did sound good. They were comfortable. The batteries were lasting as long as they suggested it would. They just broke after a month.
Yeah.
So I've got a couple of simple rules that I have now, and that is, I won't say that I won't do videos, but I will only do videos actually if it's a product that I want. If it's something that I'm looking to get anyway, or something I'm considering getting, but I'd like to try it beforehand, why would I not take it for free?
Yeah.
Why would I not? And spend a couple of hours putting a video together talking about it. Why not? But yeah, I'll only do that for the right product. And interestingly, last week I got an email from the Bob and Brad, who are quite a large YouTube channel called Bob and Brad, and they are 50, 60 something year old American physiotherapists with 5 million followers on YouTube. Their marketing team reached out to me and said, we've got this massage gun, would you like to have a go at? Now I've got a massage gun that I was given from I guess one of their competitors that I reviewed last year, really good massage gun, and I still genuinely use it all the time now.
Mhm.
But it was a different massage gun, and there will be a video coming out on this. So I don't want to do a review or anything like that now.
Yeah.
But just really talking about that being given goods for free. I thought, yeah, that looks different to what I've got.
Yeah.
Some of the specification looked a little bit better than what I had. Especially in terms of the depth of motion for the bit that I don't know what you call it, the massage ball bit that goes up and down.
Yeah.
The one from Bob and Brad had quite a larger distance that it travels. So I thought, you know what, yeah, I'll get one. But I emailed them back and said, yeah, I'm interested. I'm aware of who Bob and Brad are, but I want you to send me two. And why do I want you to send me two? I said, well, because I'm doing a podcast with Scott.
Yeah.
I know Scott's got an injury at the moment, and you know, this can't all be in their benefit. It's got to be in other people's benefit as well, because, you know, let's be honest, if I do a product review, the view rate is much lower than one of my own videos, much lower. But that, again, that can be damaging to the channel in some respect. So I went back and said, yeah, I'm interested, but can you send me two? And within a few hours, they came back and said, yes, no problem, send us your address. And the only stipulation that I had from those guys was, can you talk about the product? And we'd like you to to share a photo on social media as well of the product. And that was the only stipulation I can say whatever I like about it, as can you.
Yeah.
And you don't need to do a video about it, but I would genuinely be interested, because I know you've received it already, but I would genuinely be interested to hear what you think about it. Now, I don't want you to have to review it. I don't want you to say it's an amazing product, blah, blah, blah. It does this, it does that. No. How did it work for you? I think is the...
So yeah, without going into an in-depth review, I can cover that in later on and send you some information. But I thought it was going to contradict you now, but bloody fantastic.
Right.
It's ergonomically, it's tiny compared to. I'm seeing a physio at the minute for the ITBS, and he's working on my left-hand side, outside of my thigh, and from my glutes down to my knee. And he uses a massage gun on me in the clinic. I don't have one at home, so when you said I'm going to get a second one for your thoughts, you want it? Obviously, yeah. Couldn't have come at a better time. So I had a quick go of it today, and yeah, it does exactly what it says on the tin, and the strength of it, wow. Level 1 and 2, fine. Level 3, probably could take your fillings out if you really tried. But I'll get a proper go of it after the half marathon tomorrow, and I'll use it as part of my recovery, and I'll tell you my thoughts on it. But initially today, I did a 5K this morning. Knee was throbbing a little bit. It's strapped up with gels and stuff, but I'm still using the gun as recovery, and yeah, it worked a treat today. And ergonomically, it is so small. There's a hefty weight in it, but you could pop that in my sports bag and take it away with me if I was going away happily.
Yeah, no,
but we'll leave it there, because obviously we could talk for hours about the goods and bads.
Yeah, no, exactly. But that to me is an example of when's the right time to take a freebie. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not about getting free stuff. Like I say, everyone likes getting free stuff, of course, but you know, you've got to say yes to the right stuff. And it's again going back, do we need it? Is it something that I need, something that I would be interested in anyway? I've got I won't say what it is, because I didn't fulfill my end of the bargain. I got sent another product, and I actually think I'm gonna do the video. I think I have to do the video out of principle, but the product they sent me was so bad that I didn't even want to make a video, because the same company have sent me another product before that was actually very good,
right?
And and a product that I still use regularly. But then they sent me this product, and I'm like, what am I going to do with this?
Yeah.
This is no use to anybody. It probably is some use to some people, but to me, it's got absolutely zero use. I tried it once. It's back in the box, and I've not touched it since. But I guess now I've said that out loud, and especially now I've said it on the podcast, I guess now I have to make that video, because I can't only make videos that say the positives about things. I guess I have to prove that we are allowed to say negative things.
You've got a good lawyer, yeah?
But
Just checking before we go further down the line.
I actually think I am going to have to do it. So I am due to. I want to make a video about recovery and the things that I do for recovery.
Yeah.
I think I'll chuck that into that video, so
Yeah.
that gives you a little hint on what it might be, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
But it is so bad for me that I will never use it for what it's intended to be used for. You know.
We're coming up on nearly an hour here, so if anyone's still listening on the long run, keep going because you're nearly home. But I just wanted to cover two more things, really.
Yep.
So my last question for you, Freddie. You've tried Endurance 24, you've done park runs, you've done 10Ks, you've done halves. Have you settled yet on a favourite distance? What's your favourite? Not so much race, even just is there a distance you're comfortable with and you look forward to and you feel like you're in control of the full race because you know you're capable?
Yep. Well, two things really there. Yes and no. So my favourite run is probably different to my favourite sort of race distance. My favourite race distance is right now it's probably the 5K. And I think partially that's because that's where I'm seeing the most improvement, and it doesn't take that long to see that because it's 25 minutes, you know, thereabouts. But it's also in some respects the hardest because for me it's zone 5 for 25 minutes, you know, and that's hard to do. So that's kind of my favourite. But my favourite run is without a doubt, not even close, the slow long run.
Yeah.
That's my favourite because that's where I just say, right, screw the world for the next couple of hours or however long it's going to be. Screw the world. I'm going to switch off. I might put music in. At times I don't. I'll listen depending where I am. If I'm by busy roads and all that, I'll tend to put music on. If I'm out in the middle of nowhere and nobody's around me and it's quiet, I'll turn it off and just enjoy listening to whatever. But not even close. That is by far my favorite thing to do because there's no stress about how fast am I going, how far am I going, where am I going. These are all things on my slow long run that I don't plan.
Yeah.
I don't say, right, I'm going to take this route. I just come to a junction and decide which way to turn.
Yeah.
You know, and I do think about, okay, how far do I want to go ish? Like today, for instance, I actually recorded a video today, and in that video I said, oh, I think I'm going to do about 15k. I did 18, you know, because I'm not planning a 15k route. I'm just seeing, oh, I think this might be about that distance. If I keep going, oh no, let's go this way now. That looks nice. Go that way, and it is what it is. But I know when it's time to turn around and go home, you know. But yeah, not even close. How about you? You must have a favourite one.
I quite like the 10K. I love the speed of the 5Ks and the park runs. I get carried away and I just love it. I love the trails as well. There's a question for you. What do you prefer, trails or road? But I've discovered I love trail runs, and a 10K for me is where I'm comfortable. It's just enough before I start to feel fatigued. Like you were saying, I have to start thinking about gels and things like that. That distance, I'm still comfortable, and when I get home, I feel like I've earned the next naughty meal. You know, I've put the shift in so I can do that. But at the same time, it's an enjoyable run. It's not one where I'm flogging and just gasping and can't wait to get home. I haven't done that many long runs at the minute because of the injury. So I'm using tomorrow's half marathon as my Sunday long run training for the Manchester Marathon in April. I've decided I'm not going to go with a watch. I'll still put it up on Strava and time it, but I'm not bothered what it says. If it says 3 hours, if it says 2 hours, whatever, I don't care. So yeah, favourite would be the 10K.
Yeah. So pause the watch or not pause the watch when you stop on your runs?
See, you caught me out pausing it on our social run, but I only paused it because I was a sheep and everybody else did.
Not everybody.
Apart from you. But no, normally if I'm out and about, there's a few junctions here I have to pass with heavy traffic, and I never pause the watch, to be fair.
No.
I did that day because I seen everybody else up and down the curb. Just looked along and everyone's paused, and I thought, oh, that's what we're doing. But no, tomorrow I've decided because of the injury, just going to go and get round, and I want my medal. You know, it's a
Yeah, why not? You
act of
paid for it.
cost. I've paid for this race.
Yeah, and you've got your massage gun to sort you out afterwards.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah, yeah. There was something
So
else I wanted to say, and I can't remember what it was. Oh, that was it. I'm conscious that I'm used to being on YouTube, and that's the primary thing of this because it's a video. But those that are on Spotify, I'm really sorry if we keep if we ever show things or anything, and obviously it's audio only on there. We'll get better at that, and I think we need to be conscious of that. That if we are showing things, we may need to describe it
Yes.
to those that are listening only.
Perfect. Feeding into that, it's as though you're always going to do this. But I read a book this week that was recommended. I don't know if you can see that, but it's Marcus Torgby, Scandinavian guy. He basically is exactly what you said there about getting off your long runs and not worrying and switching off from the world. Marcus wrote this in 2018, and I read it cover to cover in 2 days. It was
Really
engrossing. He going through some stuff in his life. You could tell from an early age he was addicted to running, and just couldn't stop. And in the end, he was going through some turmoil in his family life, and he decided to move into the wilderness in Sweden, and he moved into a teepee and lived out there for 4 years and just ran
wow.
and lived off the land for 4 years, but he kept a journal. Highly, highly recommend it. If you're needing any motivation or you're in a bit of a lull and you just want to absorb something about running that's not digital media, that
Yep.
book is incredible, honestly. Yeah, I'd have to mention that in case anybody has read it. Let us know your thoughts because it gripped me for 2 days solid. I couldn't put it down. I
Brilliant.
ignored the rest of the world, and it is about that headspace and getting out and just running. And he talks about it's the cheapest sport in the world, but we make it the most expensive sport in the world because we buy stuff we don't need. You need trainers and shorts. At the end of the day, we're going back to the caveman era. You need trainers and
Yeah.
shorts, and your trainers don't even have to be anything special, just to
Well,
run.
the barefoot runners would tell you don't even need that. You
Yeah,
know.
well, he tried that as well, but yeah, he strips it right back to what it is. And fundamentally, it's just your feet on the ground, moving
Yeah.
forward, and yeah, the guys. I mean, I think he's in his 40s, might even be in his 50s now, but he was in his 20s when he did this, and that journal is it's incredible.
Brilliant.
Highly recommend it.
Well, again, send me the link to that, and I'll link that to the
I will.
YouTube video in the description. So if
Yeah.
anyone wants to have a read of that, they can. That'd be cool. And just to really touch on a couple of things that we've got coming up over the next few episodes. So obviously, so far it's just been me and Scott. Hopefully, you're getting to know me and Scott a little bit more, and what we're all about. But what we want to do is actually get other people on here too. So we've got some people lined up. People of all sorts of abilities, actually, and all sorts of shapes and sizes is kind of what we're after. We don't want to just be getting on people that are winning races and whatever else. We want to get people on that you can relate to, that might have a similar story to you, and actually even some that might be at the very beginning of their journey. And there is someone that I want to get on that is kind of in that position where they're at the beginning of their journey, and share their fears, their worries, their whatever else. Just so we can share that and show that we're all kind of similar in more ways than we realise. But we have got a guy coming up in a couple of weeks' time for our first one. I won't say his name right now, just in case something goes wrong and we don't end up getting him on. But we do have a guy that's had a bit of a story actually, and he's, I don't think he'll mind me saying, but it sounds like he's gone from a proper fat lad to a proper runner or cyclist as well. But he's putting up some really good times and had a hell of a journey getting there. And it'll be really interesting to share that with everybody. And again, if you've got a story to tell, let us know and we can get you on as well. And don't feel like, oh, my story's not good enough to tell. No, it probably is. You just don't realise it. But we'll ask you the right questions and get that story out of you. And actually, we'll see that again, that we're all more similar than we are different. Even if our stories aren't all the same, because this isn't about just dropping 30 stone and becoming suddenly a 15-minute 5k whippet. It's you might have lost 10 pounds and finally broke that sub 35k. That's massive. So let us know and we'll get you on and have a chat and have a laugh and make more friends through this thing called running. Anything else you want to say, Scott, before we?
No, it's still another one of those surreal moments where running's brought me to some strange places over the last year. I think I mentioned it 2 weeks ago. Um, yeah, it feels very strange sat here, but I'm getting used to it and I'm enjoying the process. To be
Good.
fair, it feels like a lot of my work calls right now, just having a chat online. The camera 2 years ago would have felt so alien, but I think
Yep.
there's a lot of us now are used to this way of communication.
Do you know what? I think that's absolutely right. Because yeah, I mean, I've got my GoPro right here. If I do that to somebody at a park run, it's actually, if I'd have done that a few years ago, everyone would have ran away.
Yeah,
Now people are actually willing to talk because they're used to doing it to themselves with
yeah,
their
yeah,
own phones
yeah.
and stuff like that. But yeah,
No, thank you again for another interesting chat.
all good, all good. Right, we'll wrap it up there. So thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. If you use a what you call them, a platform that we're not on yet, let us know, and we'll try and get the podcast added to that platform. Because I know not everyone uses YouTube to listen to this. We are on Spotify. We are on Apple Podcasts. I think that's about it at the minute. Obviously, we've got Google and that we could add ourselves to. But if you want us to do that, let us know. And yeah, it's been good talking again, mate. Good to speak. Good
Yeah,
to see you, and we'll
likewise.
catch up again.
Yes.
Take care, guys. Bye.
Catch you later.